Hello and welcome. So, hopefully, you're back with us. There's about a 15-second delay here with Facebook, but hopefully, you enjoyed William's talk. I think that was really good. I'm sorry if I got super passionate about some of these things, but I'm really passionate about the business side of photography. I feel like that is somewhere where a lot of people, when they first go into business, they don't really spend the time to figure out how to run a business. And I went through it myself. I was told, oh, those are some great photos. You should do this, you should do that. And then, you start a business. So that's why I wanted to kind of present these two topics right up against each other and bring in our another guest speaker today is to talk about that business, because right now you could be out of a job and you're looking for, to start a photography business, or, you have some downtime now because, you can't photograph clients and you are looking at ways to work on your business. So that's why I'm bringing you this live stream today. It is to talk about the 5 things that Brent and I think that people kind of mess up when they first start their photography business. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Brent in here, unmute the old mic. Welcome, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, my friend. How are you doing today? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I am living the dream, as they say.
True story.
Every day that I'm live streaming is a good day. I enjoy this. I enjoy talking to our community, which reminds me, if you're joining us now, it looks like we have 6 or 7 people in here. If you could just put a note in the comments where you're joining us from. We want to know where this stream is getting out to. So do us a huge favor and put your name in the chat window. So that way we can show you up on screen, and we can let everybody know that we're all kind of in this together. So welcome, Brent. So tell the viewers just a little bit about yourself. So what have you done in the past that got you where you're at now? What type of photography are you doing? Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, let's see about me. I have been doing this since, before it was cool to be a photographer, honestly. I own Silv Art Studios. My wife and I own the studio. We are a 3rd-generation photography studio. We've been in business for over 75 years. I've only been there since the mid-90s, back when we shot everything on film. So this is all I'm qualified to do at this point. But I've spent 10 years on the board at Professional Photographers of Ohio, a couple years as president, done several other industry conferences, do a lot of teaching, a lot of education, because this is an industry that has provided the lifetimes of value for my family. And I want to continue to let this be not just something we do, but this is a career. This is something that we intend to pass on to our children.
Absolutely. So I'm going to throw it up on the board there. So if you're looking for Silv Art, look at some of the sweet stuff that he's doing. It is all types of portraiture. There's seniors, there's sports, there's a little bit of everything. So look up Silv Art.
SYLVART.com.
Yep, you can check out some of the work that Brent does. So as far as, being qualified, absolutely. He is qualified to talk about this because he's been doing it for so long with the studio. Like, he runs a brick and mortar studio. It's not like he's this fly-by-night photographer. He is bringing you sound tips on how not to screw up. So share with us, what are some of those tips?
Well, especially for people first starting out, I think the first error that most people make is thinking they're ready to be a professional when their skill set is not ready. No one can learn how to be both a photographer and a business owner, at the same time. Right. And that's the hardest thing, is learn the craft portion first, because running a business, if you don't have the skill of being a business owner, that's what you need to go study on. Yep. First. Don't practice on paying clients and things like that, but everybody thinks, oh, I'm going to hang out a shingle and just be really good at this, and then the money's going to come in and so fast I can't cash the checks. But running a business is, a great book. It's reading time now. Everybody's got some downtime. Go read a book called The E-Myth, or The E-Myth Revisited.
I brought it up with the one when I was talking to a thing earlier. So.
Yeah, it's this exact, it meets our industry. People like to think photographers are special, that we don't have to run a business like everyone else runs a business, but we do. We're no different than bakers or attorneys or anyone else who provides a service-based product. And as much as we want to pretend we're special, we're just not. We have to run a business like everyone else if you want to put food on the table for your kids.
Absolutely. And I went ahead and put that in the chat as well. Link to that book on Amazon. I have it on audio. I like it because of the type of book that it is, where it jumps back and forth between, the information and then the narrative that goes on with the person in the book. So it's actually, I like the listen, but I have a physical copy. I'm pointing over at my bookshelf, but I moved it for lenses, so it's actually down a little bit lower. But I have a copy of this book on my bookshelf, and if you take nothing else from this talk, if you want to take your business to that next step, it is the E-Myth Revisited. I mean, it talks about, what it takes to be an entrepreneur and this myth of entrepreneurialism, of what it is and how to put systems in place. I mean, it's a very, very solid book. So now that some people have joined, I want to give a couple shout outs. Hello, Richard Richard from Michigan. He is helps out with Olympus. Hope you're out there shooting. He's from Lansing, Michigan. Big thumbs up from Raul in Strongsville, Ohio.
Hey, Raul.
And then I shared the links out there. So it looks like we have about 15 people, a couple shy people out there. So if you could just put your name in the chat, so that way we can show and share that everybody's here and that we're, like I said, in this together. So number one is to align your skills, and don't jump into this too soon. I mean, you don't start swimming by jumping into the deep end. You take some lessons, you slowly work your way there. And honestly, if you do that, you're going to be jumping in the deep end much faster if you do it the right way and you hone your craft and you practice with swimming. And there's tons of ability to do that. I mean, there's Pixel Connection does a lot of shoots, PPO, Professional Photographers of Ohio. There's a lot of hands-on workshops there. We have a workshop or a conference coming up in August, Pixel Photo Fest, which I'll give you guys a discount code for to save $100. And then we're going to talk about another conference that's going on right now towards the end of this broadcast. So stay tuned for that, because that is, a super, super awesome thing that Brent has actually put together that does not cost a dime. But we'll get to that later. So what's number two?
Let's see. Number two on my list, well, after you've become a professional and you know how to do things, is to make sure you spend enough time working on your business, not simply in your business.
100%. And I brought this up a little bit earlier because, to me, I bring the analogy, and we used to talk about this in education all the time when I worked as an IT director, is, the infrastructure or the tools that are used for education are like an airplane. And that's very much like a business. I mean, if you are running a business, you don't have the opportunity to land that plane and rebuild the plane into something else. We don't have that opportunity in any other time. We have to rebuild and do all those upgrades to our business kind of haphazardly as the plane is still flying. Well, Corona brought our plane down. I mean, we have the ability now, and I don't say that as a bad thing. It didn't come crashing down. I don't mean like that. I mean that it had a safe landing, and now you can work on that plane. You can update the jets, the interior, the navigation system, and those are all obviously parallels to your business, but you have this opportunity now where you can work on your business because you have no choice but to not work in it. A lot of times as photographers, and I hate to dominate this, but this is the thing that I was so passionate about earlier, was as photographers, like, when you show up to a wedding, it's you. When you show up to an engagement session, it's you. So you feel like it is 100%, everything's on your shoulders. But what you have to quickly realize, especially when you're starting out, is there's things that you really like doing and things that you don't. And what you have to do is you have to do what you do best and then outsource the rest of it. There are awesome editing, like my podcast, for example. I ship that off to an editor. I don't have the passion for audio editing, but you know what? There is somebody that does. That's the same thing with editing photos. You can go with a tool like Color Edits or any of the other ones that are out there to do your color correcting or your image, however you want to, however you do your images, your album book building, like all that stuff can be outsourced. And that allows you to be freed up to work on the stuff that you enjoy doing every single day.
And it's funny because TJ got ahead of me. Point number 4 on my list is outsourcing. Because there's too much work for one person to do, especially if you're a solopreneur. If you're trying to do it all yourself, you can't do it all yourself. And just because you love doing something doesn't mean that's the best use of your time. I have friends that absolutely love designing albums, and they'll put 10, 12 hours into an absolutely gorgeous album. And their client wouldn't know the difference if they shipped that out to someone for $150 and had it designed and got to spend 10 or 12 hours working on their pricing or their in-person sales or doing things that are going to make them more money. Just because you love it doesn't mean you get to spend all of your time doing it. That's where one of the things I like to tell people so much is when you introduce yourself, I am a business owner. I don't say photographer immediately. I'm a business owner because my job is to make money for my family. Now, I choose to do that by creating an amazing artistic product and selling heirloom quality prints, but my job is to make money.
Absolutely. And you shouldn't feel bad for that too. I think a lot of people like think that profit is a bad word, but honestly it's not. Like, and
No,
that's the thing, like we're not doing this as starving artists. We are doing this as a business.
and this is something I find a lot in the artistic community, especially. The idea of being a starving artist has become some way noble. And
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I don't buy it.
No.
I think providing a good life for my family. I have a son who's just finishing college. I have a daughter who's a sophomore in high school, and I have a daughter in elementary school. Folks, life planning tip: don't put 6 years between each of 3 children. It changes the way you deal with things.
Hey! That's the 3:00 live stream.
Oh, sorry, my apologies.
With Brent, that's later on. Don't jump here. Come on.
No, but do the things that are the highest value for you to be doing, not always that you love to do most.
Absolutely.
You should do the things you love to do. There's nothing wrong with a personal project, but
100%.
you have to run your business smartly.
Yeah, and like you said, things that you love and also people that you love. You know, when I was running my studio, especially in the early days, I mean, I had a full-time job, but then I was also doing a studio and trying to make rent and like just all over the place. And, you know, I wasn't the best husband at that time. If you talk to Ashley, I might not be now either. I don't know. She could be looking. But, you know, I wasn't the best husband at that time because I was spending so much time in my business and it was consuming me. Whereas if I would have taken more time to plan my business and how I was going to do things and set goals for myself in my business, I just tried to do the, you know, into the deep end thing. And that's why I'm so passionate about this now, is because I don't want people to do that same thing that I did. When I started outsourcing, when I started putting tools in place to automate processes, my whole life changed. My business life changed. And a lot of it too was I wasn't forgetting things. And that's where like a studio management software like 17 Hats or Tave comes in, because then there's this stress about you as a wedding photographer or any photographer, I would assume, but about double booking dates or missing something. Like I have a free week at Y. It's Saturday. I'm not waking up early, or it's Sunday. I'm not waking up with like pains all over my body. Like something's wrong. Did I miss a wedding? And like that sticks with you all week because you're constantly looking and trying. You need to put a process in place to make sure that does not happen, and outsource things that you don't like.
And not just a process, but a process you trust.
Yes.
Because if you can trust the process, then you don't have to worry about the process. Worry kills people. And, you know, all the worry in the world never bought anybody a minute of time.
Yep.
So the more you can create a process, and I'll be honest, I'm preaching to myself in this statement because I am bad. I use my calendar as a to-do list, and I'm one of those people. That's fine. Yeah. But it's way I track things, but it's a system that I trust. It's a system that gives me reminders, and then I don't miss things.
Yes.
Because missing things is terrifying. Missing a wedding. I'm going to throw a tangent in here. If you're not a member of Professional Photographers of America and you shoot weddings, you are crazy. Go join right now. Get the indemnification insurance. I have had friends who I will not name who have had weddings restaged by the indemnification trust because they missed it. So protect yourself is what that is.
Absolutely. And I'll put this, I've been talking about on all of our live streams about the PPA and kind of what they are. PPA is Professional Photographers of America. And one of the benefits is what, you know, Brent just mentioned with the indemnification trust. But there are so many other things that are of value to professional photographers. And, you know, this should actually be a tip, is to join a group like this because, you know, I want to say it's like $30 a month. And I've been a member for several years. They're lobbying for us in Washington. They have a ton of content, educational content, templates for contracts. It's just a group of like-minded people. They have competitions. If you want to work on the art side, you know, you can work your way up there. PPA is something that I think as a professional has been a night and day difference for me as a business owner and as a photographer. 100%.
Yeah, it's hugely important. Not just, and we'll get to our last topic, which is usually education. And I do have a couple things I want to talk to before that, but it's important to have an association that you're part of with friends and people you trust. Friends in the business is really important. And this wasn't a bulleted point, but I think it's really important. you're not in competition with other artists in your area. I'm in cooperation with artists in my area. I teach classes at my studio on pricing and business and sales, because the best thing that could happen to me is every local photographer raises their rates, and then we're competing on quality, because I'm happy to compete on that ground every single day.
Yes.
I'm so tired of watching people give away the lifeblood of what they're doing for $100.
Yep.
When they should be making 10 times that much and actually creating a bona fide business that's going to be sustainable. Sad to say, most photographers are photographers for about 3 years, and then they realize it's too hard and they go out of business because they never built a proper business. They were just trying to dig a ditch with, a teaspoon instead of a shovel.
Yep, 100%. And that's what I'm a big, fan of, the community over competition, because like at the end of the day, I went through and I had an issue. It was actually when I did shoot Sony back in the day. It was when the mirrorless cameras were all single memory card slot. So not just specific to Sony, it's just how the landscape was at the time. And I lost a wedding. And, that to me is like game changer. I was ready to quit. I was ready to get out of photography altogether, hang it all up. And I called my friend Isaac and I said, and I just talked to him. And he's, my direct competition in every aspect of the word. We both did seniors, photo booth, weddings, same, super small market in Ashland, Ohio. But he just had a conversation with me kind of man to man and was like, look, like, you can't be down on yourself. Hopefully they will find grace and they will, forgive you for this. The biggest thing is figuring out how to, A, what you learn from it, and B, how you're going to continue on. Because like I lost a ton of weight and it was just a really bad, situation. Like, it just killed me that I only had all I had photos was of the physical, like the ceremony itself. None of the other pictures from the rest of the day had turned out. So I had gotten through that. But had I not had, let's say I went at odds with Isaac and we were, mortal enemies, I wouldn't have had that person to reach out to as that support structure. And I wouldn't be here now. I mean, I would have just stayed in the IT field and probably would have went on to something else. I mean, I probably wouldn't have stuck with photography at all. But because I had that person that I reached out to, he was the one that kind of kept me on track. And, for us, our friendship is more important than any customer that's out there, because at the end of the day, if he needs something or I need something, we're there for each other. And that, to me, I wouldn't trade for any customer.
And you and I are physically close together, and so is Isaac. And Isaac's a friend of mine, and he and I have had clients that have cross-pollinated too, and it's fine. I know they're going to be treated well there. One of the a story I like to tell, and you'll remember when this happened, our studio got robbed a number of years ago. I walked into work on a Thursday, and all of my equipment was gone. I didn't have a camera. I didn't have anything. And I was supposed to have lunch with a buddy, and I called him and said, hey, I can't do it. It's like, CSI in here. The police are trying to figure out what happened. And I told him what happened, and he stopped and he brought me a bag of backup gear and says, hey, use this to get through your sessions. And I had 2 other friends do that too, and I didn't even call anybody. Friends in the business is so important for a lot of reasons, because at some point something's going to go wrong, or you're just going to need help figuring out how to price an album or something, and call a friend who's got it together and say, does this work for you? Do you have the same problem I have? It's easy to think you can get everything from a Facebook group. And I'm not knocking them. Trust me, I'm going to talk about one in a little while. But it's really important to have real life friends who know you and know what you do, so that you can have an interaction that's much more personal. 100%.
100%. And that's why I think, early on, I mean, I remember it would have been my second PPO event that I went to, and I think we were working in the print comp room and trying to get that up and working. And it was from there where, I had met you and we started talking, and I just wanted to help grow this, because it was had such an profound effect on me. Even just the first one back when it was in Embassy Suites in, I think, Dublin. I went to Terry's class about seniors, and I was like, holy crap, this level of education is right here in Columbus. I need to tell the world about this. And professional organizations like PPO or the Northeast Ohio Professional Photographers or Cincinnati, there's also the group down there. It's, you have this community of people that are there to help and answer questions, but provide education. So, that's why we team up as Pixel Connection. We try to team up with as many of these groups as possible, because we're passionate about the same thing, about photographers, and we want people to to know that, they can come right to, our store and get whatever they need or rent whatever they need, or, just knowledge, just reach out to one of us, because chances are, we found this issue in our business and we'll be able to help you out as well.
Well, people don't take nearly enough advantage of their vendors as a partner, which I guess could be a different topic all by itself. But your camera store wants you to be successful because you have to come buy more cameras. Your lab wants you to be successful because you're going to buy more prints.
Right.
Anything that they can do to help you succeed, they will bend over backwards to try and assist you with. It's super important to build a relationship at every vendor you have. Don't just call the 800 number and talk to whoever. Find a person there. Call the customer service manager and say, I need to be put in touch with a customer service rep who's going to be my rep, because they're going to understand what your issues are over time. And every single vendor will do this for you.
Yep. And that's the thing, and that's why I'm doing these lives, is putting myself out there, because I will work night and day to get what you need. If you need it for a wedding, or you're at a wedding and say, hey, TJ, this broke, we're here to support those type of things, because we are local. We are a local store. And, could we just go all in and build the biggest, best online superstore to compete with the Walmarts, the Amazons, the Newegg's of the world? We could. All that takes is the right people in place, and we could build that. We can outmarket that. We can out hustle that. But that's not us. We are a small town, Avon, Ohio camera store that just wants creatives to be successful. So I can be that account manager for you if you do need absolutely anything. Absolutely.
And nobody will do a better job for you guys out there. I'm not just saying that because TJ's a buddy, but TJ's a buddy because that's how he is. Absolutely true.
Always here to help. So what's our fifth one that we want to talk about?
Well, I would say it's probably spending on education and educating yourself in the industry, in business, how to build what you are today into something better tomorrow. If you're not growing in 4 or 5 years, what you're doing is going to seem quaint, and you have to keep current and you have to move forward, because the industry is not the same as it was when I started in the 90s. Let me tell you, it's not the same as it was, actually for today, it's not the same as it was 90 days ago, but that's a whole different story. Everything changes, and you need to keep current, and you need to educate yourself to be the next best version of you.
100%. So do you have any resources? We talked about a couple of them, but tell us about your little pet project that you started not too long ago.
All right. Well, I am in the middle of a project. Actually, it kicks off tomorrow. If you go to on Facebook, it is in mentor.photo, as in a mentorship, mentor.photo. And if you just type mentor.photo into your Google machine, it will take you there, the URL forwards. But it is a group for photographers to learn about business. But what I have going on in April is we all got locked in and we lost our state conventions, and not everybody got to travel as much this year. So I called a lot of friends, and their outpouring of givingness has been unbelievable. We have over 40 speakers who are volunteering their time in the next 3 weeks to educate people on how to be better photographers. It is absolutely free education. All you have to do is join the group. We are doing Facebook Live every day. Today, tomorrow, and Thursday are 2 huge 10 to 12 hour days. And then every Monday and Thursday for the rest of April, we are having class.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And honestly, I did a talk yesterday just to kind of kick people off on live stream. And I talked for an hour and a half just about live streaming. I thought about different topics afterwards. But people are just volunteering their time. And these aren't just small, nobodies in this industry. I mean, I am, but there are, really, really big names that are speaking in here. So I definitely urge you to search for the mentor.photo. Me personally, I'm not, other than me helping Brent out, it's not like Pixel Connection is sponsoring this, but this is just another resource for you guys to get more education that costs you $0. And also, if you are, a lot of the members are, there's members from all over the US, but there is a pretty big contingent of Ohio people in there. So you might find that next, Isaac Coffey, that is right there, or the next Brent Watkins, or the next TJ Houston, that can be in your close circle that you can then work together to build stronger businesses and have that person that you can reach out to. So I definitely urge you to go take a look. there's a lot of information, and there are so many different topics. There's marketing, there's live streaming, there's before and after stuff where, you can see an image before and after. There's just a whole ton of speakers.
Post-production, sales, business and marketing, customer relationships, and it goes on and on and on. Heavy hitters, Canon explorers of light, Fuji ambassadors, people whose name you're going to look at and go, oh, wow, they're here too. They're all good people who care about this industry the same as TJ and I do. They want to make everyone improve too. And yeah, so join us in the group. There's a lot going on.
And you could see here, I'm just going to go through some of these speakers that are kind of, going on. We have Skip Cohen, Clay Blackmore, David Beckham, Ohio boy. We have Christine Newell, Kevin Hudson, Sherry Hagerman, Bobby Lane. There's just this whole line. Isaac Coffey. There's just all of these people that are volunteering their time to help you become a better photographer, but more importantly, a better business owner, so that this can be something that is sustainable for you.
That's what the group's all about, is being a sustainable business owner. That's
100%.
That's the mentorship we're talking about. You can learn off-camera flash anywhere. You can learn how, if you don't know an f-stop from a bus stop, you can figure that out with all the online training. What you can't figure out as easily is how to be a good corporate citizen in this industry.
100%. So I want to do a really quick, just go to the chat if there are any questions. Let's see who else joined us. Hi, guys, watching from Worcester. Hey, Dustin. Hope you're doing well, man.
My backyard.
Joining us. Yep. Jackie is joining us, our friendly account manager from Fuji. Hello, Jackie.
Hey, Jackie. How are you, dear?
Eeyore is apparently keeping his space with his mask on. He is here joining us from the store. And then who we have here? Our good friend of mine, Melissa. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. So are there any questions that you have business related? You have a chance now to ask two people who have ran studios, physical brick and mortar studios. We're here to answer any questions that you have. So throw them at us. What do you got? I think we might have answered all of their questions, which is a good thing.
We're thorough. That's
so good. Well, I appreciate you coming on, buddy, and I will join you over in the mentor.photo group as the next thing is starting. So it'll start a little bit, right?
I think 3:00 today. We started another one.
Branding. So if you are looking at starting up your business, it's best that you start with that quality brand. And what, when you break brand down, what does that mean? I'm going to go find out. So hopefully you will too. Thank you, Brent, so much for joining us. And thank you, everybody out there, for joining. We hope that you have a great day.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks. See ya.